What's up, guys? I'm here with Nicky Petito, the creator of Paison Con. Nicky, tell us a little bit about this event here.
First of all, before I get into the event, this guy did a wonderful job, went above and beyond, flew all the way out here. Kino, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means the world to me.
Thank you for having me here.
You're the definition of you don't have to be Italian to be a Paison.
Hey, you guys hear that? I'm a Paison.
Paison for life over here. Paison Con, we just did it this weekend at the Williams Center in Rutherford, New Jersey. About 15 Sopranos actors, about 30, 35, 36 other Italian-American influenced celebrities. And it was a great time, connecting community, film festival, live entertainment. Kino did some Q&As with some Sopranos, like I'm sure you'll be seeing soon. And he's a great guy, and he knows his stuff.
So if you guys did not get to attend this year, definitely sign up next year, because this is like an amazing experience to meet all these people.
Absolutely. PaisonCon.com. God bless everybody.
All right, I want you to give a warm Paison Con welcome right here to Mr. Artie Pascuale and Tony Cucci, moderated by Kino, the Sopranos YouTuber. You can find him on Pure Kino at YouTube.com. Let's get those hands together right now for our guests. Yes! Come on out, gentlemen. Come on, give them a warm round of applause, you animals. Let's go. Yeah. All right, guys, knock it out of the park.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This is from the Pope.
Give a blessing, Artie. Give a blessing. Is everybody having a good time here at Paison Con?
What's up, everyone? It's truly an honor to be sitting here with you two guys.
Oh, thank you.
I love The Sopranos so much, I cannot even tell you. You know, we're here at Paison Con, of course, that Italian heritage and culture. I want to hear a little bit about your background, where you grew up. Tell me about your kind of upbringing. Let's start with you, Artie.
Well, I grew up in Providence, Rhode Island, an Italian section called Federal Hill.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, David chased the story that came out of there. But anyway, typical Italian house, three-tenement house. You know, my grandmother on one floor, my aunt on another floor.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have phones and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Private line, and it was great. It was great. I'm a product of the 50s, really.
50s, yeah. That's awesome. Where are you from?
Well, originally I'm from not too far from here, Clifton, New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
And so when I was cast on the show, it was a Clifton guy getting cast in a Jersey show. So it was really perfect
They
casting.
even wanted that local talent.
Yes, yes. I live in the Bronx now, so that's also influenced me. Arthur Avenue, the Italian section of the Bronx.
Gotcha.
So my wife was from there originally.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how you guys got on the show. So Artie, you knew David before you actually got on The Sopranos.
Yeah, I got introduced him from a relative of mine, as a matter of fact, 25 years before The Sopranos even existed. But in his head, I'm sure many of these great writers, they absorb all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And he kept the story in his head for like 20 years. And then we got together and
Let's hear that story. So for those of you guys who don't know, Artie here is the one who gave David the idea for Artie Bucco's restaurant burning down. So let's hear that story.
Well, I've told it so many times, but it's a good story. I lived in Providence, Rhode Island, and my aunt and uncle had a cafe where all the so-called wise guys used to go in. She and he would take care, my uncle and my aunt would take care of them. You know, they said, "What are you having today?" Anyway, a guy used to go into their place. It's a true story. And he went in there 1 o'clock every day. And one time he was supposed to be shot in that restaurant. So, you know, Tony Soprano, my uncle in real life, offered my aunt and uncle a trip to go away. They didn't want to have a bad reputation. If people wouldn't go to the restaurant if somebody should get shot there. So my aunt, like Artie Bucco's wife, if you remember, I think it's the first episode, says, "Oh no, we're not going to go anywhere. Once you're indebted to these guys, you know, they remind you of it all the time." So what are we going to do? So Tony Soprano was really upset over this. But if the guy got shot in the restaurant, nobody would go there. So these guys had these crazy ideas. So Tony Soprano blew up my uncle's restaurant, my uncle in real life. Blew up his restaurant as a favor to him so he could collect the insurance. And they shot the guy down the street at another restaurant. So I told David Chase that story, and he kept it, and the character Artie Bucco, because I told him the story, he gave him my first name, Artie, and Bucco is David Chase's grandfather's name. But that's my connection to Artie
That's
Burt.
incredible. So you were involved with this show even before it came about. Just that
Yeah, in his mind, I guess.
Yeah, before you joined the show. That's
And
awesome.
then from there, I guess I thought I had a shot at it. So I auditioned for a couple of things, and I ended up with Burt, you know.
That's awesome. Tony, how did you get involved with the show?
Yeah, that's great because I've known Artie for a while, and it's the first time I'm hearing that story. So that's great for me to
That's
hear
awesome
too.
for you, yeah.
But for me, I was just New York actor. My agent sent me on a call up to Walking Jaffe casting for The Sopranos. I got in for a few other roles throughout the years, like Gigi.
Yeah.
The guy, the character that dies, my friend Jon Fiore.
Jon Fiore's gonna be up here later.
I went up for that role. I didn't get it. Then they called me in for like an Elvis character, which I told my agent, I'm really not right for this, but I went in. So finally, they called me in right around Christmas time.
Yeah.
And I was with my daughter and my wife. We were taking Christmas pictures at the mall. And my agent calls me and said, guess what? You got the part. And I'm thinking like Sopranos, I got the part. I'm going to buy a Maserati. I'm going to get a house. I'm going to make residuals. So anyway, I go to the first read-through. And the only thing that hit me was like when I was getting out of the car at Silver Cup Studios, I said to myself, what if they kill me off? And so I go in, I go to the read, and I see Arthur Nascarella, who played Carlo on the show. Him and I go way back. I was in the first movie he ever did.
Yeah.
And he says, sweetheart. It was the sweetheart. He's from Harlem. He's Harlem. And I said, Arthur, he gives me the kiss on the cheek and everything. And I go, yeah. He goes, you finally made it to the big show. And I said, yeah. He goes, I'm sorry to hear what happens to you. Yeah. And he left me hanging, like I didn't know.
Yeah.
So we do the table read. And, we do the thing, and at the end, I realize I'm getting whacked after the third episode. And I'm sitting in the chair, and they're all signing, posters and things in there. And David Chase comes over to me, and he sees me dejectedly sitting at the table. And he says, what's the matter, big guy? And I said, well, I've been trying to get on the show for almost 10 years, Mr. Chase. Yeah. And I get on the show, and you're killing me off in 3 episodes. And he goes, yeah, but it's going to be memorable. And I didn't know really, and that scene took 5 days to shoot, the death scene, so it was crazy. But it was, I always say it was great to have a small part in a big show, and that's what it was.
You both had very memorable parts, even though they were only there for a little time. I mean, like Fat Dom Yellow, that was one of the, and Burt too, those were the incidents that kind of set up the final conflict of the show, all the stuff between New York and New Jersey.
Yes, exactly.
Well, when you went to the read-through, like Cucci was saying, nobody was privy to the script. Maybe Gandolfini was, but it was very private. So everybody would sit down and look to the back of the script and see if your name was there. So I remember not having looked at the script, so Gandolfini came over to me, tapped me on the shoulder, and he says, nice knowing you, Burt. So I said, it must be me. And then I found out how.
Yeah.
Even that, just quickly on my death scene, people said to me all the time, Artie, I love the way you drooped your eye when you got strangled. Like I'm home the night before, trying to figure out how I'm going to look in a mirror when I'm getting strangled. You can do that. You can go over your lines and all that, but I didn't have any lines right then, right? So it just came out. He broke about 4 of those things around my neck, being in.
Yeah, wire.
Yeah, and I said, do it tight enough. And he did it tight enough, so I really thought I was getting strangled. I really did.
That's method acting.
And then it came out. My eye got drooped.
Yeah.
It was just accidental. People think, okay, I'm in front of the mirror going,
that little toy dog yapping in the background.
Whatever happens. So I got lucky.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even with me, they had a Kevlar vest made for me to make me even look heavier than I actually was. And I didn't realize why, but David Chase was a stickler for detail. And they used a real knife, a dulled down real knife to stab
into you.
Carlo, who's a friend of mine, Arthur, we do the rehearsal, you kind of walk through with the stunt coordinator. And then it was like Churchill Downs, they let the horses go, and I'm just attacking me with this knife. And it was, I tell you, I got out of bed the next morning, my wife said, look at it, you have all these marks. Thank God I had a Kevlar vest on that they made for me. Because stabbing, and then the back of my legs were black and blue. I fell on that table about 50 times in that scene. And I landed perfectly under the moose, and they loved it. Wow, that was great how you did that. I said, I didn't do that.
And sometimes things just happen.
Serendipitous.
Am I allowed to curse? I'm not allowed to curse.
Everyone's been cursing so far, so you go ahead.
When I was they had a dog off camera. And that's a good trivia question. I don't know if they're having trivia later or whatever. My dog's name was Spencer.
Yes.
Right? Anyway, I'm getting he's strangling me, And I'm on the ground, this dog's barking. She's got the dog off camera.
Yeah.
This trainer. And the dog's barking. They put like catnip in my pocket.
How to get a dog
So
over
now
here.
they released the dog and the dog's barking and barking and barking and barking. So I said, excuse my language if anybody's out there, will you get this fucking dog off me? So she said, don't yell at Iggy like that. I said, Iggy? I'm getting the shit beat out of me when I went Iggy. Iggy probably made more money than I did.
And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but you actually had a scene that didn't make it into that final episode of Burt. Like the reason Silvio's killing Burt's because he's playing both sides, and there's a scene that didn't make it into the final episode, right?
Yeah, I went to Silvio's house. I was a recluse for a week. I had a lot of dialogue, and then I went home and I'm saying, okay, this is great. This is what I'm going to open up the episode with it, and then I'm going to get killed at the end of the episode. So that'd be fabulous, right? It's the next to the last episode. What a way to go. So I said, I'm home, and I never watch the show with anybody else. Because some of my friends, they don't know what goes into it. They think it's just so easy. So I'm waiting for me to go to Silvio's house, and they open up with me going out to get the newspaper, and I end up getting strangled right away.
That's it.
So yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, they cut it out.
Probably time and stuff.
And I know Silvio's wife, Maureen Van Zandt, she was in that scene too, and she was a little upset.
And she didn't get too many scenes. I can understand why.
She did better than me.
Now, Tony, I have a question for you. What is going through Fat Dom's head when he goes into the pork store and starts busting these guys' balls about their dead friend, and he's so cocky about it? What's he thinking as he does that?
Well, I guess it's like it was stated in the show a couple of times. They always said about Jersey, the mobsters in Jersey was just some mud rendition of what a real mob family should be. So it was with little respect, with some respect. I mean, Silvio sent me the players and all that shit. But then, he's a cocky guy. And he's not the genius. If he was, he would have been Frank's, position, right? And so, I think he was just an idiot to walk in there and keep it going with it. It elevated with every stupid line that I kept.
He was one of the ones who lacked Vito. He was with
right. Well, we knew the whole
Phil and those guys.
And the stuff was shot there too that they didn't even put in the show. It was crazy. I mean, it was crazy. My head in the show that they wound up putting in the ice box and all that stuff. I wanted one of those heads so bad.
By the way, his head is right outside here.
My head is out there. It's on the table out if you want to check it out. But they made 10 of them. And I said to the prop guy, Steven, I said, listen, I'd love to get one of these heads. And he said, no, David Chase doesn't give out. Joe Pantoliano didn't even get a head when his head was severed. And I said, okay. So the closing night of Sopranos, it was a rap party, and I'm there, and he comes up to me at the bar, and he says, would you still like your head? And I said, yeah, I'd love it. So I jot down my address on a cocktail napkin, and I figured, forget about it. I'm never going to see this head. But a week later, 2 weeks later, shows up UPS in a box of peanuts, and I take the head out, and I put it on my kitchen table, and my daughter was like 5 years old. She freaked out, and it like ruined her for a couple of days. Unbelievable, but it's a funny story.
It seems like you're getting a message, a head in a box.
They made 10 prop heads out of that one. I even have some pictures at my booth where I show the heads that were made.
The head is up there, guys. So if
it's literally up
you want to see it, go to Tony's booth. He's got the head.
Amazing. Steven was just amazing, the prop guy. He had a place in Hackensack, out in Hackensack. And he had all these heads, these gargoyles. And he said to me, a funny thing, he said to me, are you claustrophobic? And I said, I don't know. He says, well, we're going to find out. Because for an hour, I had to have the skull cap. They kept putting stuff on my head. My head was so heavy. It felt like it was just going to fall off and snap my neck. But it came out great. It came out terrific.
Exactly like you.
I had the Garrett. I took the Garrett.
Oh, you have the Garrett?
I broke about 3 of them, but I have it home. It was like rubber. Rubber.
So in general, you guys didn't get to keep a lot of stuff from the show.
As a matter of fact, I had I wanted to keep my sweatsuit.
Tracksuit you're in,
And they wouldn't let me keep it, but I know they sold it on at Sotheby's, I guess. It sold for like $800.
That's why they didn't want to give it to you. They're like,
well, I wanted to know who bought it. I was going to sign it for the guy.
Crazy.
They wouldn't tell me.
My wardrobe was so bloodied because they had 10, like that scene, like I said, took 5 days to shoot. So every time the blood capsules would go, they'd have to change my pants, change the shirt, the undershirt, reset the squibs, do the whole thing. I mean, it's almost like James Caan talked about all the time in The Godfather. They've never done any squibs. Not that there were squibs on me, but I had so many blood packs on me. It was squirting all over the place. It was crazy.
That's awesome. So, I want to ask you guys. I mean, you guys have both had, smaller roles on the show, but it was still, you were a part of this thing that has transformed the world. Like, people come to this thing just to see you guys, to be a part of meet the cast. What did it mean for you to be a part of something that just changed television forever?
Well, I mean, it's the greatest thing, to happen to me, a show that I was on. We've all done different things, but when they say it was a family, it's kind of trite, but it was a family. To this day, people still contact each other, talk to each other. The Sopranos is a cult of people that know everybody about The Sopranos, everything about The Sopranos. Like, I go into a restaurant, sometimes maybe you get recognized, say, hey, Burt, how's Spencer? I mean, they don't even know my name, they just know me, Burt, I'm a character. How's Spencer? That's my dog. So and when COVID came through, everybody had to stay home and they got rejuvenated, and the kids that weren't allowed to watch it, or maybe kids that weren't even born at the time, because it was 1997, I guess. So they stayed home and they watched The Sopranos again, but it was just it'll never happen again, I don't think, And to show you how great it was written, the three writers were basically David Chase, Mark Weiner, and Terrence Winter. Mark Weiner did Mad Men. Terrence Winter did Boardwalk Empire and part of Tulsa King. So those guys, talk about writers, I mean, and I just tell you one quick story about the writers. The first episode I did, I'm playing cards. I had one word as my answer. One word was what I had to do. The dealer says to me, what are you going to do? And my word was fold. So they asked me to act naturally, and here I am in like $1,000 suit. They had unlimited funds. So he comes to me and says, what are you going to do? I said, I fold. Out of disgust. The scriptwriter came over to me and said, Artie, no, I fold, just fold. Now, to us, what the hell's the difference, right? But that writer wanted to say it a specific way at a specific time. So I tell kids that all the time that want to be actors. You treat that like it's an Academy Award. It was essential to the script.
It was.
I mean, what was the difference? I fold or fold. That writer wanted, that's how serious those writers were.
I heard they were like, you can't change one
I'm sure Gandolfini and a couple of people,
of course,
deviated from that.
What about you, Tony? What would it mean to be on the show?
Oh, it really meant, I guess, everything. It was like Artie. You go into a diner and people go, oh my God, that's the guy that's Fat Dom. I remember one time I went with my mother to the motor vehicle in Garfield. And it was a huge line, right? We're all the way in the back, and I'm already going, Mom, I don't really want to hang out with it. And all of a sudden, I see this woman spot me from behind the counter. And she's over, and then we're at the back of the line. She comes out through the side door and she goes, can I ask you a question? Some people think that you were on The Sopranos. And I said, yeah, I was. You were Fat Dom, right? And I said, yeah. She goes, just come with me. So you really see how just even a small part.
You're like a real life gangster at that point.
Yeah, exactly. It was like they just took us in the back and took care of my mom's license and everything. And she was just floored because my father had just passed away right before I got this. And he was a big fan. I remember he called me the night that Janice shot Richie in the kitchen. He called me and goes, did you see what just happened? My father was such a big fan. And I know we probably saw it in heaven or wherever, like we always say. But I was glad that my mother got a chance to experience some of this pseudo-celebrity, right? It's like a pseudo, I'm not Brad Pitt, but it was nice. And to be a part of something that big, historic.
Being from Clifton, right, I mean, there wasn't a lot of stuff set in Jersey, it was all New York-based mafia shows, but this is a show that sort of glorified Jersey and stuff. So was that, really cool for you being a local?
Yeah, no, look, David Chase, I grew up on Oldwood Road in Clifton. And he grew up in the apartments that were down, I forget the name of the apartments, that were right down at the end of the street. And I never really got a chance to talk to him like Artie. Artie knew him and everything, which was really kind of cool. But it was just something that was a little connecting piece, And the audition, it was just magical. I mean, to go in and read, I actually read for my audition, I read Dan's scene in the car with, where he said your blood will be all over your fine leather seats or something.
Oh,
Gloria. Gloria, right. And I told him that one of these things, I said, your scene was the scene because they didn't have like written stuff for the character yet. And he said, really? I said, yeah, I had to do your scene. And it won't be cinematic. I always remember that line,
to show you the influence of Sopranos, I'm down in Florida with this lady friend of mine. So she wanted to go to this place, Tremonti's. It's a well-known place in Delray, Florida. So she calls up and says, "Can we make a reservation for 7:30, whatever?" I said, "I'm sorry, lady, we're all filled up." So I said, I do this occasionally. I call up and I said, "Look, this is Artie Pascuale from The Sopranos. I got a friend of mine, he's an actor. I wanted to bring him to your place. It's a great place. But, you got any room for me?" "Oh, Mr. Pascuale, sure, what time?" 7:30. So she got pissed off. She said, "I'm not going." So we go there, and it was like a scene, I guess it was The Godfather, where the place is packed. Here comes the guy carrying a table. He puts like Goodfellas, making a table for you right there. People are looking at who's this guy, and then the word get out. Before you know it, they come up. They want to get an autograph or something like that. I mean, I don't. Occasionally, it might, if you want to go to a play that really you have to get into something. Hey, you got to use the perks you got from the show, right?
Yeah, that's cool. It was cool to have a few of those perks.
That's awesome. Anyway, it was the greatest experience for me, and I'm sure for Tony.
Do we have any questions from the audience? It's a little hard to see, but would anyone
packing them in here tonight, right?
Pop down there. Just raise your hand if you want to.
I don't think so.
Anyone? We got one back there. Hold on, we hop down.
You actually have a call?
Oh my God, this is
question.
good. Oh, Steve, right in front of you. God bless you. I don't know Steve.
Question?
Is there any favorite all-time lines? All time. Doesn't have to be for The Sopranos, just all time.
Get a 3-ball.
There's a great line in there when I went to make collections with Danny at Starbucks. The famous line where we had just gone to the chicken store and we wouldn't say anything. He would just give the envelope to the guy the old-fashioned way, and he would put money in and give it to us. So now we go to Starbucks, and now it's a whole different world. It's like corporate. So I said to the guy, we're from the local Merchants Protective Association, something like that. And he said, well, we have our own security. I said, well, suppose somebody throws a brick through your fucking window. He said, well, we'll call up corporate and they replace the window. So we're stunned. We don't know. We're not used to this. So as we walk out, there's a famous line that says, "Whatever happened to the little guy?" It's a great line. Anyway.
Anyone else have any questions?
Don't hurt yourself. Yeah, go around. It's better to go around. Be safe, yes. Don't jump up on a 6-foot stage. Oh, that was a different show. I can tell that wasn't The Sopranos.
Are we all done here now?
That's like,
Can we go eat?
Do you guys have anything else you want to say to the audience here before we wrap things up?
my friend Steve was reminding me, I did a pilot once with Rosie Perez and, Gina Davis. And I remember when I auditioned for this pilot, I walked in, Gina Davis was eating an egg salad sandwich behind the door. So I do this whole audition, and I didn't even know. And she started laughing with the egg salad coming out. So I go to shoot that day, and I'm playing this bad guy, and they're playing two detectives. They question me, and I know I'm going to get caught, so I bolt out the back door. And the stuntman, Peter Bucozzi, who did the Goodfellas, he told me, okay, we're going to jump on that wall and jump over the fence and take off. So I'm like, cool, okay. So I go out through the door, I get to the wall, it's like an 8-foot wall. I'm a big guy. And I jump on the wall and I get stuck, like I'm crawling up the wall. And everybody's laughing, the crew, and everybody, Gina Davis, Rosenberg, they're like, fuck it, leave that in. That's the way, that was better than him jumping over the fence. She just held out the handcuffs like this and went like this. I mean, there's so many stories over the years, you know, it's just amazing.
Well, I've never played a fat guy.
That should be your next role. Put on the suit.
Put on the suit. I've never played a fat guy, but that's okay. You were asking about some other memorable things.
Anything else you want to tell the audience about?
No, I just want to say, if you people up there can hear us, thank you very much for coming for Paison Con.
Thank you so much.
Give a round of applause,
everyone. For Nicky and Billy. You guys are putting this whole thing together. It was great. It's great being part of it. Hopefully it'll continue for another year.
And don't
Enjoy
forget,
yourself.
tomorrow night they got some films they're showing
And
too.
we'll
Right?
be right back up there if you want to get a picture from me and
Go to their booths. They're going to be
Fat
up there tonight.
All right. Thank you so much for having
Thank you,
us.
Paison.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The Pope sends his blessing.
What's up, everyone? It's having fun? Woo! Let's give it up for Lombardi and Jon Fiore, everyone. All right, Louis, let's start with you since you're the more famous person here. Obviously. Listen, you're not wearing the shirt, all right? We talked about this
Thank you.
all right? We got something to plug tonight. He's not wearing his own merchandise, all right? All right, Louis, I want to talk to you about Sopranos, obviously, because we're all huge Sopranos fans here. So how was getting onto the show for you? What was that process like?
Well, you know, I did a movie called Suicide Kings, and Georgianne Walken, who cast Sopranos, had seen me, and it was Christopher Walken's husband. And she brought me in for the pilot playing Big Pussy to audition.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's a bit. It was before the show was shot. So I audition, I leave, I go to another audition for a show called Fantasy Island with Barry Sonnenfeld, and I end up getting Fantasy Island, so it knocked me out of doing the first season of Sopranos. I didn't know if I would have got it, but I auditioned. So I went to Hawaii, lived there for a year. My show got canceled, and I moved back. I went back to New York to visit my mom, and Georgianne was like, "Is Louis in New York?" Yeah. I went up, and I knew Jimmy from way before Sopranos, like since the mid-'90s. So when I went in, the day after I got to New York from Hawaii, I saw Jimmy. I went in, I read with them, and boom, it was like a 10-minute casting. I went downstairs, they hired me, and it turned out. And I know Big Pussy Vinny since I'm 13 years old. So it was kind of funny working with the guy now, 40 years later. Blah, 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 yeah.
And you were his handler, you were his boss.
I was his handler, like muscling him and yelling at him, yeah.
That's awesome. And what was like you playing like the FBI type role? Because I know that kind of was something you hadn't really done before, right? Law enforcement type roles.
Well, you know, most of the roles I do now, and that's what I pride myself on as an Italian-American actor, is not really playing gangsters in most of my films or TV shows.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I got the role of Sopranos, my friend was the executive producer and writer, and he had said to me, Louis, if you take the cop role, it might be a shorter series run for you, but you'll get a longer career.
Yeah.
And he was right, because after I did Sopranos, the creator of 24 saw me on Sopranos 2 years later. He watched it in reruns and goes, I want to put you on my show, and it ended up being Edgar Styles on 24. So Sopranos led to, Suicide Kings led to Sopranos, Sopranos led to 24, and then I did Entourage in between all of them. Sprinkle Entourage in, because I started out with Doug Ellen. Me and Doug Ellen moved to LA together in 1993.
Amongst friends.
Amongst Friends. I did a movie called Amongst Friends. And that's how it all snowballed. But people go, hey, did you get your big break from Sopranos? I go, no, I did 60 movies before Sopranos and 2 TV series. I did a show Paul Haggis did called Easy Streets. Joey Pantaleone, Mike Starr, Jason Get.
Great show.
Well, Time Magazine had originally said, at the time, it was one of the best shows ever made, and they canceled it. And it was Paul Haggis' show. Bobby Maresca was a writer, and he ended up winning an Oscar for
Crash.
So, you know, but everything happens, even if it's a mistake, something good happens, it was meant to happen, it wasn't a mistake.
Absolutely. And Don, I wanted to ask you, how did you get involved with making films? Like, what was that process like for you?
I started with music videos. I was in the music business, managing bands, and I started shooting music videos. And during that process, you start writing treatments, so there's storylines with that. And I really liked writing stories, so I started with short stories. Those short stories got longer and longer. Next thing you know, I was shooting a TV pilot for something I had written. And during the course of transitioning from a music video director to live action director, I had met Louis when I was in the music business. I went out to LA. He's one of the first people that I met in Los Angeles. And as a kid from New York, you go out to meet an actor from New York and Los Angeles, you hear a lot of horror stories. You're like, look, you're gonna meet this person and they're gonna be...
And I fulfilled every nightmare.
I learned that backstage.
You know, he was so welcoming, and he gave me his phone number, and I would call him every time I went out there, and if he could meet, he would meet. But most of all, I would call Louis for advice as I was trying to transition to becoming a director. And he would always give me really good advice. We never had the opportunity to work together, but I think he mentored me for many, many years. So finally being able to work on this project together was nice. It was serendipitous.
Let's talk about the project, even though you're not wearing the shirt of it. director's cut, which is going to be playing here at 9:30 tonight in one of the theaters downstairs, I believe. Tell us about that project and how that came to be.
Yeah, so it was peak COVID, and no one was really filming anything. And this band that is actually members of the band are playing tonight, they wanted to shoot a music video.
Yeah.
So I got a camera, a really good camera, really cheap. We drove out to the woods of Pennsylvania into this abandoned school, and I'm shooting this music video, and I'm thinking to myself, if someone breaks into this building right now, we're getting robbed for everything. And if we fight back, they'll probably kill us, and no one will find us for weeks. So synapse is going off in my brain. I'm walking around in between shots, and I developed the idea, which is a band gets hit up by a mysterious director on social media. He lures them out to the woods of PA to shoot a music video, and he's gonna kill them all.
Yeah.
And I needed a creepy person, and as I'm writing the script, I've known this guy for so many years, and he's so funny, and he's so inviting, but I also know Louis, if he wants to, he could be a motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that dichotomy, on screen could be performed well, and I never really seen anyone challenge him with that, so I called him up immediately, right when I was drafting the script, and I said, Lou, I've got something, I think it's definitely different.
Yeah.
And he loved the idea from the concept, so we did some test shots in New York.
We shot a 30-second thing at the back of a deli in Brooklyn 4 years ago? 4 years ago, me and him, I'm like, hey, this looks like a good place. He goes, put on the shirt, put on the glasses. And I stand there and I go, whatever we did. And he was 5 foot, and I send it to him, I go, this is like such a beginning of it.
Yeah.
But one thing about Donnie, as an Italian-American filmmaker, and this is why I was like, absolutely. And over the years, not just, I know about 15, 20 years, I guess now, and there's no gangster comes out of his mouth. It's always like, I want to do horror. I want to do a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
And as an Italian-American actor, that's what I love doing, everything that's not gangster.
Yeah.
And as an Italian-American director, his eyes are not on what everyone else is doing.
Yes.
It's create his own world.
Yeah.
And he's got like 4 or 5 other projects, and he told me the other day, and I'm like, you gotta get that done. You gotta get that. Like, that was the first thing. Like, it's not like, hey, it's great, interesting, unique projects from a new Italian-American filmmaker in New York, wherever.
Absolutely. And this is, like you said, a very different role than you've done before. Kind of like a Jigsaw type character here.
One of the most unique roles I've played. And when he called me, and then I started sitting, this went on for years.
Yeah.
He called me every night. What is it? We're gonna do everything. Yeah. And then I started pulling from Shining and the Silence of the Lamb character. So I said, I'm gonna put both of those guys together.
Yeah.
The Jack Nicholson kind of normalcy. Hey, honey.
Yeah.
And he hits him with the pat in the head.
Yeah.
And then you got the guy like all freaked out. When he gets freaked out, that's when he's like, you switch and you do the thing. And I was like, and that's when the Silence of the Lamb guys comes out.
Yeah.
Give it all in the basket. When he starts freaking out, when he hits me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how I developed the character. And we would talk every day for years.
Yeah.
When he kept going, when do you read this? When I read it, I'm like, we gotta shoot this.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got half the money made, whatever. I go, just take what we got and shoot it.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay.
Yeah.
And then turns out he ended up getting everything else.
Yeah.
And so it was meant to be. Just do it.
Just do it.
And I said, tell him, no one's coming to save you. Take the little money. Let's go to shoot it with your iPhone like we did. And he was like, yes. And then boom, that's what happened. I think it's a great film.
Where did you guys shoot this?
I'm from Westchester, New York, so the goal was to go back out to Pennsylvania to this abandoned school and shoot at the same property I filmed the music video at. Cost-wise, that was going to be a lot. It was also going to be a lot on the crew that I wanted to work with, the cast, for travel. So we started scouting around in Westchester, and my exec producer, Anthony Carbonito, is just riding on a Sunday. He sees this abandoned mansion on the side of the road in Yonkers. He's like, I think I found it. And we roll up to this mansion, which was a 100-year-old, 40,000 square foot mansion. And it just turned out to be the perfect character for this film.
And the mansion was the star of the movie.
Yes.
I'm secondary. If you see the movie, when he said, we're going to the woods, I was like, I'm not going to the woods. He's like, no, the woods. I was like, I'm not going
to Starbucks near me.
Like, dude, find a location close. He goes, I can't. Calls me a day later, 2 days later. He goes, you're never going to believe this. I go, what? He goes, we found it. I go, no, you didn't. He goes, yeah. I go, we're not going to Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
I was so happy.
Yonkers,
which was you, Yonkers. Yes.
Shout it out.
Yeah. That's awesome. And we talked about this, it's a dark character, it's a different role, but we saw like some darkness from Skip Lipari in The Sopranos, and Pussy's kind of, dragging his feet, not really giving you the whole truth, and you're like, I'm gonna put a bullet in your fat fucking dome, right? Yeah, exactly.
with the Sopranos role, when I got cast, Chase and those guys' mindset was, we want somebody who could be a street guy.
Yeah.
Somebody who looks like Big Pussy, which we have with Big. He has a little bit kind of like similar person.
Yeah.
But it was like you're from the other side, but you would have been there if you didn't become a cop.
Yeah.
So that's what Chase wanted. So you get that, relatability with people going, oh, I could be you.
Yeah.
You could,
Yeah.
And that's what happened with the role. They started going, you're a street guy who became a cop.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And that's where some of that aggression came from. I'm Macchiatito, Billy blah, 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 kind of mindset.
Yeah.
And then when I did 24, it was as opposite as can be. It was crying every episode, getting hit in the head with a paper every time. I was at the desk typing, and I saved my mother, I saved the world, I saved everyone, and I ended up getting killed. That's the gratitude of Hollywood. But it was funny because when the guy saw me on Joe Cernow saw me on Sopranos, and he goes, I'm going to put you on my show, you're going to do one episode. I was like, okay. And I thought it was me and Jack Bauer.
Yeah. Gonna be a badass.
It was me crying on camera, getting hit every day.
Yeah.
We won an Emmy.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's where you go.
And I ended up doing from one episode to 48 episodes.
Yeah.
Sopranos, I was supposed to do one episode.
Yeah.
I did 11.
Yeah.
24, I was supposed to do one episode. I did 48.
They keep you around.
Yeah, they keep me around. Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of.
I'm hoping he don't kill me in the next movie. Every time he sends a rerun, I look at the last page.
Got two.
So watch what you just text me.
Like you're Googling. There were a lot of actors on The Sopranos who were did very different, like Lorraine did a very different type of role than she did in Goodfellas. Very kind of put together type roles. I think David, he saw that in a lot of people, not just doing what they've done before, and you really like that, doing different stuff every role.
Yes. As an actor, I always want to do something different.
Yeah.
And I used to tell Donnie, you get so many of these Italian-American guys raising money in New York that are good actors, that are good filmmakers, but what my issue with that is they're all doing a gangster movie with the same actors. And I'm like, why? You raised money, make a unique project, don't use the same. This guy did every single thing like that. And his last, I don't know if you've seen his last one short film I helped him with. He did another short film. It's about a girl in a room, a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
And then he did one called Westchester about kids and a girl. Nothing about this Italian-American filmmaker is the same.
Yeah.
And that's why I go, let's get the next one, man. What do you want? What are we doing now?
Yeah. And Don, is that important to you too to do something different and unexpected on each of your projects?
I mean, it comes first from a place of doing what you love. So, I'm an Italian American, and I love gangster stuff. I wrote Joe Colombo's life story, and I'm a true crime aficionado, and I love watching gangster programs. But horror has always been near and dear to me. So when I'm writing screenplays, I want to try to write something that's a little bit more freedom. So the creativity that you can use in horror, it's endless, right? You can just develop the characters. If you want to even go hyper reality into the paranormal and beyond. So I think for me, it's just being able to have wings and just go as far as I want with it. And I'm really scared watching horror movies. So I think I come from a place of fear where that moment that I wrote director's cut, it came from an actual moment of fear. I felt afraid on set that I could probably die here today. So I chased that for 3 years until we made it.
Yeah. And obviously, Lost Boys is an inspiration too. But what other horror was kind of inspiring? What did you look to when you made this film?
I watched a lot of the annals of horror, so I wanted to watch a lot about kids going into, locations and bad things happen to them. I think this, my favorite horror movie of all time is the Halloween film, 1978, John Carpenter. And I also love John Carpenter because he's a musician. And I was a musician first before I was a music manager. So I think I was looking at a bunch of titles, and for me, there's a lot of films that have pieces of my film inside that. And Pablo Picasso said it best. He said that, good artists borrow, great artists steal. So, you've got to stay within the genre and then just try to put your twist on it. Louis is Mr. Director is a character you've never seen before. There's something that he's doing specifically that we're going to tell through the story of many films to really understand the depth of this killer. And I wanted to make sure I built that first, and then the band storyline came into play.
And then when I did this role, it was like when I did Edgar in a way where it was so out of my league, not out of the league, but out of being a stereotypical anything, that this role was like a real acting role.
Yes.
This Mr. Director.
Yeah.
Director's cut. So, you know, when I did that, it wasn't like just showing up.
Yeah.
It was like Edgar. You know, and with Edgar, no one realizes is I had to cry every day for 9 months.
Yeah.
No one gets it. It's one day. So
Yeah.
the next day you show up, it's 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
You don't stop crying. Your mom dies. You're crying. It's a day.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Not the problem, but the tough thing with
Yes.
24 was such an emotional, draining role for 8 months. So when I got this, when we did this, I was like, you know, this was kind of not draining, you know, that's kind of sense of that, but the character was always like on the hunt and the prowl. So it was an acting role,
Yes.
not just a role.
Well, who did you look to when you did this? Were there other kind of horror icons you were looking
Yeah, I
at?
told you, Jack Nicholson
Jack Nicholson,
and the
yeah.
guy from Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
I kind of mixed both of them, where Jack Nicholson would roam around,
Yeah.
hey honey,
Yeah.
and that's what I do in the movie, hey, how are you? Be like, you're likable now. And then he would be like, no, now you gotta be like,
Yes.
angry critic, you know.
It started for me, and I told him this. I said, you know, explore it on your own. But when I first started exploring Mr. Director, it was Uncle Buck
Oh.
and John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah.
I said, because even in the Uncle Buck film, if you watch it,
Yeah.
he's funny and he's amazing and he's great with the kids, but he also turns up.
Yeah.
You know, so there was that I kind of looked for when I started building that out.
Absolutely.
I'd be like, Uncle Buck. He'd be like, Uncle Buck. I go, yeah, Uncle Buck.
A lot more blood.
A lot more blood, right. But it was great. But again, that was like an acting role. It wasn't
Yes.
just a role where you go, hey, you know, it's intense with
Yeah.
the killings and what we're doing and the situation I was in. And, you know, I'm in a wheelchair in the movie. I mean, it's a really, like, interesting role as
Yeah.
an actor. You know, and when you see it at the very end, you're going to be like, wow, this is kind of cool, you know?
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see it. Do we have any questions from the audience? Just raise your hand.
We can't see the audience,
Okay,
so if you have a
there's
question,
someone right
just
there.
step up.
I'm gonna come down. They don't want me jumping off the stage anymore. So how about you guys talk a little bit more about the film? And I'm gonna
Let's
come
talk
down.
about the film. Anyway, if you haven't seen the movie, it's playing here 9:30 tonight on one of the screens down here. It's a unique film. It'll be on streaming in June.
Well, it's available on VOD now, so it's on all platforms that you can rent or buy a movie. And then at the end of the summer, it'll be on a proper streaming platform. We're hoping it's going to land on Shudder.
We were in about 200 theaters 2 months ago. The movie did great. People loved it. And if now you get to see it free tonight if you're here, go check it out, tell your friends, and support the film.
Yes, hi, how are you? Mr. Lombardi, my question is for you. Do you like cold regatta with your pasta?
Oh, that must be somebody who didn't serve us good food last night.
I can't hear it.
I just wanted to know, shit, my cover's blown.
Oh, there he goes.
Why did you do that with the house lights? That wasn't fun. Now it's over. Anyway, sorry. That was not a real question. Goodbye.
Anyone else have a corner here?
Yo, Ducky, how come you didn't talk about your pizza business? That looks pretty good.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, my pizza business is growing. I started a pizza company with my daughter, and it's called Igloos Pizza. We're doing big events, 10, 15,000 people, and I live in California. So, and me and my daughter own the company. She takes all the money, and I do all the work.
I got another question here.
Thanks, Drew.
Who's most influential in your life? How did you get started?
You have to say that again.
Most influential in
Entertainer?
Yeah.
Entertainer?
Yes.
Oliver Stone.
Stone.
Oliver Stone, right? When I was a kid, and I'm not, and this is not like negatively, but I'm not a big Scorsese guy. I'm not a big Coppola guy. You know, I like some of their movies, but out of their entire body of work, there's only a certain amount that were great. And Oliver Stone, I related to him. Like his movies were gritty, all real stories, dark, like real versions of life. And as a kid, I would always think, I want to be like Oliver Stone. I even went to NYU and did a bunch of films, you know, NYU films, and after 10 years of wanting to meet and be Oliver, my first day in LA, first day, I had no union card, I was a kid from the Bronx, rolled up, who do I meet? Oliver Stone. Who puts me in my first movie? Oliver Stone, Natural Born Killers was my first Hollywood movie. And he met me like this. And he goes, hey man, I love your look. I was like this is my idol. This is what I want to make. I was like, read his books. I was like, he goes, I'm gonna put you in my next movie. I had no union card, I just my first thing. Natural Born Killers, 4 months. I was there with Robert Downey, Woody Harrelson, Tommy Lee Jones, and I'm on the back of the box. I mean, I'm on all the publicity. My first project, and it was my guy that I, so I kind of manifested like who I wanted to, and that was the first day. And boom, before you know it, when he hired me, I got my union card, and I ended up working with John Landis, Tim Burton, Ivan Reitman, one movie after another, because Oliver hired me. And I ended up doing like 50, 60 movies before Sopranos. And again, you go out what you want, and it worked out, because the guy who gave me my biggest break was the guy I wanted to be like. So there you go. Keep dreaming.
Woo!
And the last question right here is a question for Don. It's movie fan. What was your approach to making a scene suspenseful with a camera's moving or how you directed? Did you find like a kind of secret trick that you always do is to deliver suspense?
I mean, you watch a lot of movies and you know what you see that makes you feel like you're at the edge of your seat. And if you're writing, you're hopefully reading other scripts too. And what I started to notice was that it wasn't in the script. It felt suspenseful, but they're not written like books. So it was really, when I watched the movie, which I learned was, yes, part of the shooting process. And filmmaking is really made the movie's made in the editing booth. So just learning how to be suspenseful with the camera was something that was taught to me from just watching movie after movie after movie. What are they doing here? Are they pushing in slowly? Are they rolling back? I tried to learn what lenses they were using from watching it. So just studying films that you love, and when you feel something when you're watching a movie, it's as a filmmaker, you should really stop at that moment, write it down what you're feeling, and figure out why you're feeling it, and then you can learn the process of duplicating it.
We're gonna wrap things up. Do you guys have any final thoughts you want to share about the film?
Yeah, check it out, 9:30 tonight. Thank you, Paison Con, for having us. You guys are amazing. This is a great event. Thank you. Make sure to tell all your friends, show up tomorrow, sign some autographs, take some pictures, eat some pizza.
Eat some pizza.
Woo! Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Don, this is an honor. I'm a huge fan of yours. I love your work. Obviously, we're here at Paison Con, which is all about Italian heritage, so I want to know a little bit about your heritage. You grew up in Boston, right?
I grew up in Boston.
Yeah.
Full-blooded Italian family, grandma upstairs, uncles next door, this one over here, auntie coming over the house, same thing.
Yeah. So I have this question for you. It's a little random. In the show, your character, Gigi Sestone, I believe he's from Boston too, because when they set up the hit on Philly, he's supposed to be coming back from Boston. Now, did David get that detail from you?
I think so. That was a little innuendo. It was never expounded upon.
Yeah.
I was lambing it in Boston, on the lam. For those of you who don't know, that's when a gangster takes off and hides and lays low for a while. I was in Boston.
Yes.
So I guess he got that from me. He must have.
Like John's from Boston, we're going to put the character there. I noticed that detail there. Now, before you got on The Sopranos, you had a long run on Law & Order, the original run. You were Detective Tony Perfacci.
That's right.
How was that experience for you being on Law & Order at what many people would consider kind of the golden age of Law & Order, the original run?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of groundbreaking TV at the time. NYPD Blue, which was sort of groundbreaking. It was this new movement in television. They had the handheld. It was very gritty. I had just come from Boston, where I was an actor. Not much to do there back then. And then I went to New York, and I got that relatively quick. I go, this is going to be easy. Little did I know, it's not too easy. But I did end up on Law & Order as a recurring. And it spanned, I think, 9 seasons. So they always kind of kept me in business. If nothing else, it was keeping me in business.
And the character had his sort of like climactic arc in the first movie, Exiled, which was the main character had kind of left and then it brought him back.
Chris Noth.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a vehicle because he had left the show. And that was a vehicle to reintroduce him, to use him again within the universe.
Yeah.
So his character came back to the old precinct where I was.
Yeah.
And I was involved with a mob by that time.
Profaci, you know, we could guess.
Good guy Profaci, right?
Yeah.
You would never think that he'd be involved with the mob, but there I was.
Yeah.
And you know what I needed the money for? Incredibly, in vitro fertilization for my wife. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I go, is that really my crime?
Yeah.
Yes, I needed money for the in vitro.
Yeah.
And that was it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they gave him like a real kind of send-off there where he gets caught in the interrogation. He's like trying to work his way out of it, and he realizes there's no hope.
There's no hope.
You did a really great job with that one. You realized that, like, okay, the cuffs are coming.
It was over.
Yeah.
They pulled the curtain down on a 9-year run.
Yeah.
So I remember Dick Wolf saying to me, because I said, oh, God, you gotta kill me off, I'm going to prison or whatever, I don't want to leave. He goes, John, we've been on 10 years. How much longer can we go? Well, as it turns out, it went another 10 years.
They're still going.
And it's, well, in some form or another, they're all still going.
It's never going to stop.
Never ending. Never.
Awesome. I mean, yeah, you were there for the golden age, and a lot of people's favorite
it was
time.
great.
Yeah.
It was fun. I mean, it was very exciting for me at that time.
Now, how did The Sopranos come about? How did you get on that show?
I just had an audition. I had an agent at the time, a good agent that was getting me into some good stuff. By then, season 1 had come out.
Yeah.
And I said, boy, this is a great show. I'd love to be on this show.
Yeah.
And then I kind of put it in the back of my mind, and lo and behold, one day I got a call for it. I got the call back.
Yeah.
And at Silver Cup Studios, and you walk there, and everybody's there waiting. I go, oh man, I am not going to get this. This guy's here, that guy's here, this guy does a lot, that guy does a lot. I'm finished.
Yeah.
So, but I did wear special leopard shoes that I got from the Law and Order movie. The movie we just talked about.
Yeah.
Costas Mandalore's character wore them. He gave them to me. I wore them. I called them show business shoes. They were very flashy, good for the character. So I said, let me wear them. I walk into the room. I don't know who's going to be there. 1 person, 2, 3, 4, 5. You never know. Call back. There's an audience. There's like 12 people, including, of course, David Chase. Smack dab in the middle. And I only had 2 lines to audition with. Actors will know sometimes it's really hard, especially if they're not together. Mm-hmm. One was on page 10 and another line later.
Yeah.
And to try to make a moment out of it, whatever. So the first thing I said was when I walked in the door was, you've seen a lot of great actors today. Nobody is out acting these shoes.
No.
Got a good laugh. I felt that surge. We all hope to get as an actor. I went, I think I got this. And I got that for once. I'm wrong a lot, believe me. But that time I was right. It worked out. It was great. I credit the shoes.
Yeah. When they got you that role, and it was a great role too. You know, you're introduced in season 2, and your first kind of role is with Dan Grimaldi, who's here.
Danny's here, great guy. Yeah, they were in Italy shooting an episode.
For Commendatore.
Yes. So me and Dan are the skeleton crew here in New York, the only 2.
Yeah.
I met him for the first time. We spent the entire day together.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, he goes, well, here's my one and only day in the Sopranos.
At the end of that.
See you later. Good meeting you. Hasta la vista.
Yeah. And then they bring him back.
And then he gets brought back.
Because he's a great character.
And Danny's great. And we used to talk backstage because nobody really knew too far in advance what was going to happen. A little bit.
A little bit.
We all thought the way that the dialogue was going that I was going to kill him again because I warned Tony about the twin.
Yeah, he's
mad at the twin.
He's mad at you because you killed his brother.
And Danny says, you're going to kill me again? I said, maybe. I don't know. And lo and behold,
it's expect, you know? That's what the
and I got the phone call from David Chase.
Yeah. And what was that like for you? Because I heard you didn't like that ending.
No, I mean, I wasn't crazy about it.
Yeah.
Pre-cell phone. Message on my home answering machine. Call me early in the morning on a Friday. I thought it was going to be good news. My contract, whatever.
Another season.
Because he was upbeat. Hey, John, David Chase called me back. I go, ooh, that's an upbeat voice. That must mean something. By the end of the day, I get him. He goes, John, yes? This is a call I hate to make. Oh, I said, when? Next show. How? You're gonna die in the toilet. I go, no, really, how? That is how. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be like Elvis. I go, oh man, are you sure about this?
Yeah.
And Yeah, so he kind of talked me through it a little bit. He goes, hey, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Deal with it. And it was still 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
So they completed that episode, and they started my finale, and I still had multiple days to go, so it was drawn out.
Yeah.
That last 3 weeks was drawn out until they gave me a commemorative toilet seat and sent me on my way. For real.
That's a problem. You got to take out the toilet seat.
I wish I had it here. It'd probably be worth
Put it on your booth. It
something.
would have been good. I'd be able to see it. Now, what was it like being with Joe with Joey Pants? Because your characters had this kind of like, they hated each other. So how was it like working with him?
I loved it. I mean, it was great. We thought that would go a little further, a little attention, because he wanted that job. You know, they hire an actor like Joe. He's not going to stay on the sideline. So he was destined to take that role.
Yeah.
And just how long will they go in between? So but that was great.
Yeah.
I like Joe a lot. We had a good time.
It was great.
Fun to be with. Good times.
It's a great rivalry. And I have to ask you, being from Boston, Philly Spoons has this line where he says it's a Scranton with clams.
Yeah.
Now, how accurate is that of Boston?
That's not too accurate. Boston's pretty hip.
It's good.
Boston's got it going on. Boston, that's my town. It's a great town.
I got you.
I love it. But that was funny for the show.
Yeah, it was a great show. That's awesome. Do we have any questions from the audience here? Raise your hands, folks. I can't see from the dark. I can't see anything. The lights are so bright. Can we get the lights on the audience again, if that's possible? It's like, honestly, a little smoky out here.
Al's back there. Well, Al can hear. Can you hear me, Al? David Chase said on his podcast, you may know this, that me and Al took our debts worse than anybody. First he mentioned me, and I think he mentioned you next as the real champ. I guess we both pleaded or whatever the fuck we said to him.
I don't know if you guys can hear that. Al said he begged like a baby.
But he mentions us by name.
Yes.
Of taking it hard.
Yeah.
And why shouldn't we, right?
That's a
You're on the Super Bowl team, you go into another Super Bowl, they'll come here.
Yeah.
You're leaving.
Yeah.
So, of course you're going to fight for it a little bit, right?
Of course. Now, what did it mean, though, for you to be on the show? Because this is a show that changed television forever. You know, you wanted to be there longer, of course, but what did it mean to be a part of television history?
Oh, man, it's really been a dream come true. So, you know, because things go up and down, and sometimes they don't go the way you think they're going to go, but to have that as part of the resume forever, the show seems to never go away.
Yeah.
If anything, it's gaining somehow from the communications and the stuff I see online. So I'm honored, I'm lucky to have a piece of it, another little piece I had of it.
Yeah.
It's there. I love it. It's been good.
Well, I mean, we have this whole audience here.
We're here,
all
here.
Let me, you want to cut it? Okay. We're going to wrap things up here. Everyone, can we give a big round of applause for Jon Fiore, Gigi Sesto on The Sopranos?
Thanks so much. Thank you. Thank you.
What's up, everyone? I'm here with Lobster Magnet, one of my subscribers and fellow YouTuber. He's really helping me out today by filming these interviews. I'm gonna link his channel in the description, so go check him out. He makes some great content.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. I'm a native New Jerseyan. I grew up watching The Sopranos, so it's an incredible pleasure to be here with Paison Con, with so many people who've made such an iconic series. And fingers crossed, maybe I'll be able to take Kino to some iconic locations that are not far from here that were filmed.
Awesome. All right, just finished day one of Paison Con. Went really well. Did a lot of the interviews. People were saying I did a good job. I didn't screw it up, so I'm thankful for that. But we got another day of interviews to go tomorrow, so you can check those out right now. All right, you know I'm in New Jersey. I had to stop by Holsten's. You can check it out. We're in the location. We're not in the iconic booth. There was someone we ran into at the door from Germany who came all the way here for this, so we wanted to give them the booth and let them have it. That's him right there. But I'm here with Lobster Magnet.
Hey, this is it. This is the end, the Alpha and the Omega. We are here, Holstein's. If you're coming to Jersey, you got to go to Holstein's. This is where culture was defined. The most iconic ending was filmed. So absolute pleasure to be here with Kino.
And we had to try that. We had to get the onion rings again. Best in the state.
You might need a rag to carry it.
we're here at day 2 of Paison Con, doing some more interviews. Unfortunately, my interview with Robert Funaro got stolen by Chris. Thank you very much. No, I'm just kidding. He's a really great guy. But I still got to ask a question from the audience, which was really fun.
The one and only, the legend, Bobby Funaro, a question. Anyone here, if you'd like to ask a question, you come on up to the stage here. Yeah, right here. So we have Kino right here. Right here, Kino. There you go.
Robert, really big fan of yours. I'm a YouTuber, and I asked my audience if they had many questions for you, and someone did. So they wanted to know, the last episode, Made in America, there's a theory that it's connected to your episode, Members Only. We see you're wearing a jacket, you know, Vito's kind of breaking your balls about it, and at the end we see a guy in a Members Only jacket. So do you have any theories about that guy being connected, like maybe a relative of Eugene's, and maybe that's what the ending's all about?
It could be. I mean, I think David Chase left that ending kind of open-ended, that you really make it up yourself. That could have happened. He did look kind of threatening, but we can't say it never really happened. But I think there are theories. I saw that video on YouTube, and it's pretty valid. And I think the best explanation for that is what Peter Bogdanovich said. It's just a cross-section of America, that Members Only guy is always going to be around. The Boy Scouts, the rappers are always going to be around. These are people like the diners, the onion rings, that irony of having onion rings and being with a killer, like, you know, it's just in perpetuity of what happens. But really, let me ask you something. Would you really want to see Tony Soprano kind of his head blown off? Who wants to see that? Not me. Come on.
Thank you so much, Robert.
You're welcome.
All right, just finished up day 2 of Sopranos Con, the final day for me. Had a lot of great experiences on this trip. Got to meet a lot of famous Italian actors here, not just Sopranos actors, but other actors as well. In fact, funny story, while we were all getting set up, I got to meet Gianni Russo, who played Carlo Rizzi in The Godfather. And he asked me to set up something for him, like plug in a wire for him and then tape it down so no one tripped over it. I did it for him, and he's like, "Oh, you're a nice young man." And I was like, "Oh man, that's quite a compliment. I got to meet someone who was in The Godfather." And he said I was nice, so that's really cool. Got to meet a lot of other people, shake their hands. Jason Serbone, who's Jackie Jr., Federico Castellucci, Furio, Johnny Sack. Me and him had a little bit of a situation, but it all resolved very fine. So that's pretty awesome. So yeah, really great experience at Paison Con. If you guys ever get the chance to go, this is the second one they've done. I'm sure they're going to continue to do more in the future. So definitely check that out because it's a really awesome event. What's up, guys? I don't know if you can see behind me here, but this is the house that Christopher went to rehab. It was the rehab center that Adriana dropped him off at, and then Patsy was kind of watching it from down the street. This is the location. It's right nearby the center where the Sopranos event was going on, so I decided to end my trip at a iconic Sopranos location. It was a little bit of a walk to get up here, so excuse me if I'm winded, but I just wanted to say thank you to everyone at Paison Con for inviting me to this thing. It was really fun. I got to meet a lot of actors, a lot of interesting people, even fans of this channel. So I am truly grateful for the opportunity. And thank you all for watching this vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more great content coming soon.